When I was 12, my grandfather me. What I did was I wrote a letter and I was gonna send it to my mom. My grandmother found the letter. She ripped it off and she told me, do not even think of saying something. My childhood was, a little bit happy and also with the struggles. When I was 9, my mother left to the United States and we were staying with my father. Of course, I was heartbroken and I didn't see her for 6 years. I used to cry every single night and I can only talk to her on Sundays, and being separated, not even knowing why. Oh, she left because she had to do something. And then going to my grandma and grandpa house, it was not the same because my grandmother kind of she didn't get along with my mom so much. So I reminded her of my mother. So the treatment with me was, not the usual caring treatment. Over there, I had to do a lot of chores, like doing cleaning, doing dishes, doing a lot of things that I didn't do at my mother's house. I didn't feel welcome and I felt that I was given so much responsibility, such a young age, and my father was very strict. For me to go and have like a normal childhood, it was not normal. Then when I was 12, my grandfather me in the middle of the night when I was sleeping. So I would wake up, him touching me and not knowing what to do. I didn't understand. My room was in the middle. They were in the first room, my grandmother and my grandpa. I was in the second one, and then it was another one. My brothers, they were there. At first, I didn't understand. I was like kind of frozen. I didn't know what to do. I didn't scream. I didn't do nothing. The feeling is horrible. Waking up to something like this was, for my brain, it was not understandable. My behavior was changing too, just because of that. Because I wanted to say something, but I didn't know how to. And I used to also move. And when he comes, I was like, how can I let him know that this is not okay, that I don't like it? I was always a very obedient girl, very organized, and whatever you told me, then I would do. My behavior changed. I used to be mad. Even my father, he said to me one day, what is it with you? Like, why are you behaving like this? You are not like this. I was gonna tell my brother. I told him, listen, I have something to tell you. But then I couldn't. I didn't say anything. So what I did was I wrote a letter and I was gonna send it to my mom. And my grandmother found the letter and she ripped it off and she told me, do not even think of saying something. She said, I can create a tragedy in the family. She said, your brother might kill your grandfather. In my mind, I was like, oh, but what about me? And I was a child, as a child, you question yourself, like, this is not right. But at the same time, I'm under their roof and they are the ones who are supporting me, giving me food and everything. So I was like, all right. My grandfather, he was a sergeant and a police officer. So he was a very respected man. I admire him very much. I saw him cleaning his all the time. I don't remember any conflict between me and him. It was great. I used to get up after he finished doing whatever. I got up from my bed and I would feel this discomfort. And I just wanted to take that off. And what I wished at that time was to get another man's hand on my skin so I can erase that. And I waited 6 years. Then when I came over here in the United States, then I told my mother about it. My mom said the same thing. She said, you cannot say anything about this. And the same thing, she said, something may happen and you don't want that to happen. We are at peace, me and my mom now. I'm 43 now, but she never said to me, how do you feel? None of them. And then I left it at that. After she said that, I couldn't tell her the other story. When I was about 14 to 15, I moved with my father and my stepmother. In that house, it happened in one night. Somebody came in the house in the middle of the night. He entered the house, and this person, I don't know who the person is still to now. He came in, went to my room, he started touching, and in my head, I thought that it was my father. I had that incident with my grandfather, and I'm in the house with my father and my stepmother. So automatically I'm like, okay, like what is happening again? And then I can't believe that he's doing this. What can I do? What am I gonna do? Again, they told me not to say anything in that other incident. In what was happening That night, I didn't know what to do either. How can I stop this? Maybe this is a normal thing that they do. I don't know. Just when he took his pants off, he was about to from the back. And that's when I said, no way, this is not gonna happen to me. So I turned and it was dark. So I couldn't see his face. I turned and the first thing that came to mind was, who is it? When I said that, quickly he put his pants on and he said, me. I didn't recognize his voice, and right there he left. When I got up, because I heard my stepmother and my father then talking because the door, and I see them two looking at the living room. That person, whoever it is, made it seem like it was a robbery. Everything was like the drawers, they were open, there were things on the table, but nothing was taken. I didn't say anything to them. I was afraid, I was scared. And because they told me before not to say anything, I didn't say anything either. Psychologically speaking, I was very disturbed. When I got out of the house the next day, I was looking everywhere. And I looked at my neighbors and the guys around there, and everyone I saw, it's like, oh my God, could have been that person, could have been that person. So somehow I had to put the mask on and keep just living my life peacefully as much as I could. And my father used to leave me alone in the house every day when he used to go to work. My head wanted to know answers. I wanted to know who this person was. And not being able to say anything, I felt like I was trapped. Just the feeling trapped in my body was too much for me to kind of handle. And there was one day where I had my first ever thought. Because for me, life was not meaningful anymore. People that are supposed to take care of me and me to feel safe with them, I don't feel safe. Like, who's gonna save me? I'm not in a safe place. I was already planning. I thought of my grandfather's, I don't want no drama. I said, if I'm gonna do this, it better be right, because I will not be alive. And in that planning, a voice froze me. And I call that voice, of course, God. And it was a voice within. At that moment, I didn't see anything else. It was just paying attention to that voice. And that voice said, don't do it. From there, I said to myself, okay, then I will not do this. My stepmother was doing the papers for us to come in the United States. Now I'm going through the emotions of seeing my mother after 6 years, and then I saw her again, and I guess that has shaped also the way I am now, because I think that I can do it all the time, because I had to deal with it on my own. After that, I had my baby, my only son. And when I had him, I had an emergency, and I was gonna in there, and I was, thank God, he saved me again. At that time, I was like, why this happened to me? It was very traumatic. I went into depression. I couldn't even handle so much. I know that my mom told me, I told her, I don't want this baby. I wasn't processing everything the right way. Also, because, I didn't have, money and support from my baby father, which we had a really not stable relationship. I thank God for my mother. And then I entered into a relationship which took me to the using of. I was just living my life recklessly. That gave me the opportunity to kind of put like a band-aid on whatever has happened in my life. And now I felt free. I separated from my family and I just went into that path. And one day I fell down. I was and I broke this part under my nose over here, and I had 13 stitches. And that incident there, I was thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I have a son. I heard the voice again. And the voice said, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. If you keep doing this, what's gonna happen to you? But thinking about my son and wanting to give him a best life was the beginning, I would say, of my change. My partner at that time, he saw me that I was going through all these crazy emotions, and he was telling me too that I needed to do something, but he used to do the same thing, so how can I listen to somebody that is doing the same thing, At that time, I broke my silence again about the second incident that I had. So I decided to write a letter to my father, my stepmother, my grandfather, which he was still alive at that time, and I sent it to them. And I was mad too. I was so mad. I was full of hate. That's why I named the book From Hate to Love. I hated everything. I hated the world. I hated my family. I hated everything, even myself. And my grandfather, he was doing the will for the house for the three of us. And I said to my brother, listen, I don't want anything. I don't want nothing from the family. And that's when I told him, I was like, listen, brother, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you why I behave this way, because you guys need to know. So I did. I told him, and he was devastated. He was the first one who gave me kind of like a family support emotionally. And then one day I received a phone call from my father and my stepmother. And my father was just crying. That was the first thing I heard. He was just crying. The crying didn't convince me that it wasn't him. My stepmother, she was kind of, maybe it was the neighbor, because we had a neighbor that was mentally, not too good. They never asked how I was feeling. I didn't believe his crying. I was like, okay. That's it. And then my grandfather, and one day we were sitting outside, like in the balcony, and I told him, Grandpa, do you remember what happened? He said, yes, I remember. And he said, sorry. He said, I'm sorry that your life, was not okay after that. That was a game changer in my life. And I told him, I forgive you. And there was one time where I can say what happened to me and I wouldn't feel it anymore the same way that I was feeling it before. So that's how I knew that I was healing. And after that, I made the decision to get help because I knew that I couldn't do it by myself. My life was a chaos. I was self-destroying. It is so important for you to heal, for everyone. And doing that is just like serving God. Don't let hate destroy that. You can heal and love yourself and then love them.